Coming up tonight on YCN News, a 19-year-old man with a dislocated shoulder is rescued from the Ledges swimming hole off Truesbrook Road in Lebanon. A new driving instruction program comes to New Hampshire to help keep young truck drivers safe. And the Community College of Vermont announces a new dean of students. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Monday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. A 19-year-old man with a dislocated shoulder was rescued over the weekend from the Ledges swimming hole off Truesbrook Road in Lebanon. The man's identity is not being released, yet he was taken to Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center on Saturday evening. His rescue required extra care by Lebanon Fire Department members because when first responders arrived at the popular swimming area at 5 p.m., the injured man was found 30 feet in the brook and below the main trail. The steep incline and difficult access to the man prompted Captain Andrew White to lower close to the man one fire department member plus a Stokes basket. A Stokes basket is specially made for search and rescues. Meanwhile, other firefighters and rescuers set up lines and a lift system to bring the man to shore. Once the 19-year-old was securely in the Stokes basket, helped by a rescuer, he was lifted up to rescuers on shore who pulled the basket up the slope. By 6:15 p.m., the young man was in an ambulance and en route to the hospital. By 6:34 p.m., the rescue scene was cleared. As the rescue proceeded, the Hanover, New Hampshire, and Hartford, Vermont fire departments provided mutual aid to the Lebanon Fire Department by covering the city's emergency needs. Lebanon Fire Chief Chris Christopoulos said the Hartford department handled one call while other rescue units were on scene elsewhere. Throughout the Upper and Connecticut River valleys, reports of 4th of July weekend injuries were few, yet this is not true for other regions. In New Hampshire, 2 drownings were reported and 2 men were injured, one seriously, when a type of firework explosive did not go off as planned. The explosive that so badly injured the 2 men is called a reloadable mortar. Pelham, New Hampshire Fire Chief James Migley says this certain firework requires the user to prepare a part of the fireworks assembly before it is lit. If this step is not done properly, it can cause serious injury or death. New Hampshire State Fire Marshal James Degnan says consumers need to use care and common sense when setting off fireworks displays. Degnan reminds residents that injuries from fireworks are real and can have serious consequences. Injuries to one of the men injured over the weekend required him to be taken to the Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston for treatment of his wounds. Nationwide last year, 11,400 injuries were caused by consumer fireworks. Most firework injuries occur in the 30 days around the annual 4th of July holiday. Want to see things from a truck driver's perspective? A new driving instruction program aimed at keeping young truck drivers in New Hampshire safe will allow you to do that on July 16th in Nashua. The demonstration will follow a show-and-tell approach, especially for the 16 to 24-year-old crowd. This outreach program is aimed at keeping teenage and young adult drivers of heavy trucks or commercial motor vehicle CMVs safe. In New Hampshire, state police report nearly 80% of fatal crashes involving CMVs are the fault of the driver. Federal and state funding will go toward creation of a commercial vehicle driver's ed segment in driver's ed classes throughout the state. Driving a heavy truck or bus is not the same as driving a passenger car or even a van. This additional driver's ed class aims to prove that. All students will benefit from this information because the class includes how long it takes a truck to stop compared to a car, and the blind spots that make a car traveling behind a truck nearly impossible to see. During a class, students will get a hands-on approach to the difference because they will sit in a CMV to see things from a truck driver's perspective. The July 16th demonstration will be held from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Driving Solutions LLC, a business located at 28 Sharon Avenue in Nashua. A revised charter for the City of Claremont is now in the hands of state officials, who will review the proposed changes which city voters will vote up or down during the November 4th general election. The 9-member elected Claremont Charter Commission will review any changes suggested by the state and prepare the final draft for the election. Key to the proposed charter change is the reversal of the city's current form of government. Instead of an appointed city manager and elected city council, an elected mayor and an elected board of aldermen would be the city's leaders. Even though students may be out of class for the summer, work continues at the administrative level. In Vermont, the Community College of Vermont announced a new dean of students, the Associated Press reports. Heather Weinstein has served as the Director of Student Services since 2010. Now she takes on a new role. Weinstein also holds another title, one with increasing importance as more news of Veterans Affairs makes the airwaves. She leads the community college's Veteran Services Programs, a program at CCV that now serves more than 400 students. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. From Cornish and Plainfield, New Hampshire to Brattleboro and Rutland, Vermont, news of solar energy use continues to rise. Add Windsor, Vermont to that list. Windsor Town Manager Tom Marsh says the town has a new committee focused on increasing the use of the sun to power and heat more places in town. The committee needs your help. If you are a Windsor resident or work at or own a business in town and want to join or learn more about the Windsor Energy Committee, contact Marsh at the town offices. Marsh can be reached by email at tmarsh@windsorvt.org or by phone. The main number is 802-674-6786. Windsor Town Hall is located at 29 Union Street. This story goes out to fans of ATVs. For the rest of us, that's all-terrain vehicles, the same type of four-wheeled vehicles that are not permitted on a once popular 2.7-mile stretch in Claremont. According to a posting from Windsor, Vermont, Paradise Park may offer some relief. Still, only authorized wheeled and motorized vehicles are permitted within the park, and bicycles and horses may be permitted on designated trails at the discretion of the Paradise Park Commission. Meanwhile, it could be another year before Claremont city officials learn if it is okay by federal officials to reopen the ATV trail stretch that runs near Market Basket, the same trail that connects to Newport. With all the talk about healthcare, one problem remains: finding a primary care doctor. That problem may have gotten a solution today as federal officials announce more funding for primary care doctors. To help train more Health and Human Services, Secretary Sylvia Matthews-Burwell today announced $83,400,000 will be earmarked to support primary care medicine and general dentistry residency programs at 60 teaching hospitals across the U.S. This money will be used toward training more than 550 new residents specializing in these fields. That's an increase of 200 doctors from the year before. The funding is part of the Affordable Care Act and is known as the Training Health Center program. The doctors will be trained in areas most needed to serve patients and sometimes not always filled, especially in some urban, rural, and tribal nation regions. These include internal medicine, pediatrics, geriatrics, OB/GYN, family medicine, psychiatry, and general dentistry. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now, Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tonight we have a 60% chance of precipitation with thunderstorms expected before midnight that may bring damaging winds and heavy rain. Rainfall is expected to continue up to 2 a.m. Lows will be in the 60s with winds between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, skies will be partly sunny with a high of 90 degrees. We have a 30% chance of showers and storms after 1 p.m. Tuesday night, showers and storms are expected with a 60% chance of precipitation. Winds will be around 10 miles per hour with a low of 67 degrees. Wednesday, the rain and storms may continue with a 30% chance of precipitation. Skies will be partly sunny with highs in the 80s and winds around 10 miles per hour. Wednesday night will be partly cloudy with lows in the upper 50s. You can see on our map that more storms are headed our way. Expect thunderstorm warnings for the first half of the week. Skies should clear Thursday and Friday after all the storms have left our region. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow in Vermont, the Listen Community Dinner will take place at White River Junction at 5 p.m. in the River Point Plaza. The Hartford Select Board will meet at 6 p.m. and the Windsor Select Board will meet at 7. In New Hampshire, the Warner Select Board will meet at 6 and the Canaan Select Board will meet at 7 p.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. Let's take a look at New Hampshire Fisher Cats updates. Last Friday, the Fisher Cats were expected to start their 3-game series with Trenton. Unfortunately, inclement weather postponed the game until July 21st. On Saturday, they came back into play with Trenton winning 3-1. Sunday brought another great win for the Fisher Cats. The final score was 9-7. Tonight, the Fisher Cats will start a 4-game series with opponents New Britain. Game 1 starts at 6:05 p.m. at the Fisher Cats' home field. Game 2 will also take place tonight. This is a makeup game with New Britain of April 16th's postponed game.